Okay, hello everyone. Here we have the JJRC Q65, and here we have the original JJRC Q65 axle for the front. And what happened was, since I upgraded the motor to 180, I used a Fayee motor in the original gearbox. I went over some rough ground, stony ground, and the front wheel went all wobbly. And when I checked it out, I found that this plastic lug, one of the lugs had snapped off, but this plastic lug's just popped out this cup here, out of the slots in the cup. And when I took it apart, I found that these cups are quite flexible. They just didn't hold the lugs in very well. So the only alternative I had was to replace the axles. And the ones I used were similar, identical to the WPL B36 axles. They also fit certain types of Fayee vehicles as well, and the only difference, they fit perfectly the same length and the same screw holes and screw hole alignments, but the only difference is that the diff casing on the original Q65 axle, this one, is larger than the diff casings on the B36. And what used to happen as well was this diff casing, when it was originally fitted in the vehicle, there was only a slight clearance between the top of that and the underside of the vehicle, so you had minimal travel. Now what I've done, I fitted the B36 axles, but I also fitted WPL B36 leaf springs, because I found that the original leaf springs were just too weak and too shallow. There wasn't much bounce there, and by replacing the leaf springs with the B36 type, what it's done, it's actually raised the vehicle body above the wheels even further. There's a much bigger clearance between the tyre and the wheel arch. As you can see there, it's quite big. There's more travel for suspension, okay, and it's firmer. And also, same again here, larger gap there between the arch wheels, and the suspension so much better. So here you have the sort of WPL B36 axles. You can see there, if you can see that, this one is quite a bit bigger. I presume that the cogs are actually smaller inside the axle as well, but that doesn't make no difference to me. So there you have it. There you go. See? There you go. Now there's a slight clicking, and that slight clicking is actually this grub screw here is stood proud above the shaft. And what's happening is that grub screw is just catching on the edge of the casing of the motor. That motor there is a Fayee 180 motor. Now at the moment it's got the original 130 gearbox in, and it fits in quite tight, but it fits and it works. But what I intend to do, as I have got a spare WPL 180 gearbox, I'm going to swap the gearbox over, because this motor, just like the WPL 180 motor, fits lovely into that gearbox, and that should then give a little bit more clearance here. The alternative to that is just to file this grub screw down slightly so it doesn't hit the casing. But yeah, it's all working nicely. I've got more travel. There's a larger gap here between the axle casing and the underside of the vehicle, so there's more room for travel there. And I don't know if you can really see this, but yeah, there's a larger these leaf springs from the B36 sort of gives greater clearance between the wheels and the body. The only thing else really that I really want to do, I've done a windscreen, fitted a windscreen at a 1mm lexan, is where the body's quite light. I'm just going to put a sheet of Code 4 lead inside here, and also put a strip of lead in the back there. And I might also add a bit of weight, a lead strip inside the spare wheel, just to give it a bit more weight overall, because there's not much to the body, it's quite light, so it bounces around everywhere. And maybe put a bit of off-cut scrap lead inside this little jerry can, I don't know, we'll see. And I may add some weight to the wheels, I'll see about that maybe. And I also want to actually soften up the tyres with WD-40 Fast Penetrate, just so it runs a bit better, grips a bit better. But there you go. I don't know if you can see that, but you've got yellow lights there. They're not the upgrade lights, they're the original lights with some yellow sweet wrappers, orange yellow sweet wrappers glued to the front. Does the job, you know. So there you go, job done so far. A few more little things just to get it, you know, how I want it, really, until the next project.